Okay, hello Cloud Gurus and welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we're going to create a static website using S3. Now, the great thing about using S3 for static websites is that you don't have to worry about any kind of maintenance. There's no servers involved. You don't have to worry about, the underlying infrastructure. You don't have to worry about scaling. You don't have to worry about load balancing. Basically, Amazon handle it all for you. So it's a great way to get a website up and running very, very fast. What do we mean by static? Well, static just means that we can't use things like PHP or .NET. It's not going to be dynamic. It's just going to be a purely static website. So we're going to go ahead and create some static HTML. We're going to go and upload that to S3, and then we're going to make it public, and we're going to go and visit our website. So if you've got the time, please join me in the AWS console. Okay, so here I am in the AWS console. We just need to go over to Services, click on S3 under Storage. I'm going to go ahead and create a new bucket, and we're going to call this My A Cloud Guru, S3 website, something like that. So shortly we're going to create this bucket and we're going to put a website on it. But one thing I want to mention is that if you're going to use this in the real world and you want a domain name to point directly to this, so maybe myacloudguru s3website.com, what you have to do is you have to go over to Route 53. Now Route 53 is Amazon's DNS service. It's where you basically go and register and purchase domain names, and we will have a whole section of that coming up in the course. One thing I should point out though is that basically your domain name and your bucket name must be exactly the same in order for Route 53 to work with S3. So we're creating this bucket now called My A Cloud Guru S3 website. If we wanted to create a domain name that pointed to this bucket, we'd have to register exactly the same domain name as the bucket name. So My A Cloud Guru S3 website.com, for example. And so long as your Route 53 domain name is the same as your bucket name, so it's literally just the My A Cloud Guru S3 website, then you'll be able to go ahead and basically connect up Route 53 to S3. So just bear that in mind. So I'm going to do into the Northern Virginia region. I'm going to go ahead and hit next. In here we can set our properties. We're not going to have versioning, logging, or tags. In here we can set our permissions. We're going to just make it all locked down for now. Go ahead and hit next, and we're going to go ahead and create our bucket. So we click into our bucket, and if we go over to properties, in here we can see static website hosting. So if you click in here, you can enable static website hosting. This is a common exam question, is they will give you a whole bunch of different URLs and say which is the correct one for static website hosting. So remember, it's always your bucket name, then dot, S3-website, and then hyphen, and then the actual region. So I'm in Northern Virginia, so it's US East 1, and then dot amazonaws.com. So always look for the bucket name followed by S3-website the region dot amazonaws.com. You will need to know that going into your exam. So we're going to go ahead and say use this bucket to host a website. My website, I'm just going to call my index document. So my default landing page is going to be index.html. And likewise, I'm going to call my default error landing page as error.html. In here, you can add redirection rules, so you can redirect, set up redirect website requests for specific content. I'm just going to leave that as default. I'm not going to put anything in there, and I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And it is literally that simple. So let's go back, and we'll go over here to overview. And so what I'm going to do now is upload a couple of files. Okay, so here I am. I'm just in a text editor. This is Text Wrangler, and I'm just going to write some HTML. So HTML, and then we're going to do our header. We're going to do our title. Our title will just be Hello Cloud Gurus. We're going to end our title. If I could type properly, we're going to end our header. And then we're going to do our body. So body. Then we're going to do our main header, which will be Hello Cloud Gurus. End our header. Then we'll have a second header in here. And we'll just say, welcome to my awesome serverless web page or website. And then end our header. Then we're going to end our body. and end our HTML. So there we go, very, very simple web page. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. I'm going to save this into my downloads directory. I'm going to call this index.html. And as soon as I've done that, it will change all the code. Let's go ahead and create, or make it look more visually appealing. Let's go ahead and create our error.html file. Okay, so I've opened up a new one. I'm just pasting this in, and instead of saying welcome to my awesome serverless website, I'm going to say error, or yeah, error. So there we go. I'm going to save this one, and I'm just going to call it error.html. So let's go over to S3 and upload this. Okay, so we're here in S3. What we want to do is click upload. I'm going to go add my files. Just going to go over to my downloads directory, and it was our index.html and our error.html. So go ahead and hit open. We'll go ahead and hit next. In here, we're going to set our permissions. Now, because this is a public website, what we want to do is we just want to change it to grant public read access to this object. If you don't do this, your website will not work. So do bear that in mind. Go ahead and hit next. You can decide whether or not you want it on standard infrequently access, or reduced redundancy. We definitely want it on standard because it's going to be a website, so people will be accessing it. In here, we probably don't want encryption at rest. I mean, it's just saying hello Cloud Guru. So I'm going to leave everything as default, hit next, and hit upload. So this is now uploading my two documents. So if I go into here and click on properties and go over to static website hosting, I can just click on the link here and I should be able to get a web page. So let's open it up. And there you go. Hello, Cloud Gurus. Welcome to my awesome serverless website. So let's go ahead and try and break this site. So here I am. I'm back in my bucket. The easiest way I could break this site is to stop making this public. So I could just go down here, click on permissions in here. And right now it's allowing public access to everyone to be able to read this object. Let's go ahead and just undo that. So we'll go ahead and hit save. I'm going to go back to my website. So I can click in here. It's under properties, I believe. Yep, there we go. And if we click in here, error. And why is it an error? Because it can't find index.html because it's not public. So there we go. It is really, really, really simple. I think the biggest takeaway for static website hosting is this. It is a static website, so you can't have things like PHP or ASP or anything that's dynamic. You can't have dynamic content. So it is for, basically HTML or any kind of static file only. It scales infinitely. I was working as a solutions architect. We had a launch for a very big movie. I'm not allowed to say what it is because I was under an NDA, but it was a major Hollywood film. And they were concerned about, the number of visitors who were going to go and see the preview of this film. So we put it all up in S3, put it behind a static website, and I think we got something like 15 million hits in the first 24 hours, something ridiculous. So S3 just scaled automatically. We didn't have to worry about elastic load balancers or anything like that. And actually, the cost of the traffic was almost nothing anyway. So that would be a good use case for static websites. That's pretty much where you're going to see it in your exam is a scenario just like that. And then the other thing to remember is the actual format for your static website, so the actual URL. So it's always the bucket name, then dot, and then S3-website- followed by the region. So I'm in US East 1 right now, .amazonaws.com. So do remember the the format of the URL. So that is it for this lecture, guys. Later on, we are going to start building some more serverless websites, serverless URLs, and we're going to start integrating these in with the Poly service. So it gets really, really sort of hands-on and technical rather than just sort of a hello world example. But that is a little bit later on in the course. So hopefully you enjoyed this lecture. If you've got any questions, please let me know. If not, feel free to move on to the next lecture. Thank you.